Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has postponed a scheduled book tour. It's going to begin this week due to what people close to that tour say are security concerns. This comes just days after Schumer faced opposition from within his own party for, at the last minute, supporting the Republican-drafted bill to avert a government shutdown. Let's listen.
He's absolutely wrong.
Senator Schumer sent out mixed signals.
Jeffries played it by the rules. He played the game the way it ought to be played, and somehow he got blindsided.
I want to bring in our political reporter panel, Daniella Diaz and Molly Ball. Daniella is a congressional reporter for NOTUS, remember, News of the U.S. Molly is a senior political correspondent at the Wall Street Journal. Daniella, I want to begin with you. I want to play some sound from Face the Nation. Debbie Dingell was there talking about this entire situation and what she hears back home. Let's listen.
Can Leader Jeffries actually maintain that kind of unity in the House?
He showed you that he could do it last week. And I can tell you that I don't think anybody has been home. If you're home, my town halls look like a Republican town hall. I'm not taking it personally. People are scared. They want to see us do something.
People are scared. They want to see us, Debbie Dingell means Democrats, by us, do something. You've written recently that this entire last week stepped on the messaging and the intent that House Democrats were going to begin to try to talk to their constituents about this recess week while they're back home.
Right. My colleagues at NOTUS and I learned that some progressive Democrats were planning to hold town halls in Republican districts this week in the hopes of being able to really spread that message against their Republican colleagues against these.
Say they're not going to have them maybe, but we will.
Exactly. The supposed cuts that they've been pushing their messaging, as Molly and I were talking about behind the scenes, on Medicaid. Cuts that could come out of this budget bill. Now, what happened on Friday could overshadow everything about this, considering we just heard from Debbie Dingell, who said we held the line, we voted against this bill that would fund the government. We had leverage. That's really the key thing here. And then we saw Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer vote to advance that legislation to prevent a shutdown, going against what House Democrats and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, his New York colleague, did as well. So there's a lot of contrasting signals here within Democrats, a lot of rank-and-file Democrats incredibly upset by what happened, and this is only the beginning as they're continuing to come out against this.
And not sure how to proceed, not sure how to put this all back together.
In fact, we were just watching Hakeem Jeffries do an interview on Pod Save America. It just came out 10 minutes ago where he was defending that he met with Leader Schumer over the weekend in Brooklyn. They're both New York Democrats. And then said, we're actually just discussing messaging on Medicaid, potential Medicaid cuts that Republicans doing, not anything having to do with government funding, not anything having to do with this mixed messaging that we're seeing from them.
And Molly, I want to talk to you about your most recent reporting, because as always, I find it fascinating. The velocity of the Trump administration has taken everyone a little bit aback here in Washington. But it is, as you've written, enthralling Trump supporters. They are elated, or in some manner close to that emotional reaction. Yet some anxiety about what it could mean midterm and in the future.
That's right. I think, we're in a very odd political dynamic right now where Republicans, despite some of the warning signals sort of under the radar, are broadly elated. They feel like they are doing what they were elected to do. They feel like the electorate gave them a mandate for change, including disruptive change, including far-reaching change, including change that, goes beyond the usual.
A little bit jarring, yeah.
The change that may be jarring, change that may cause the stock market to swoon a little bit. So they are still really on board with this agenda. And it's just such a cognitive dissonance when, in so many other places, particularly for Democrats, it feels like the world's on fire. It feels like the sky is falling. They are looking at, civil servants being fired from their jobs. They're looking at what they consider a potential constitutional crisis. They're
federal research in medicine and other things being cut back.
They're looking at the Transatlantic Alliance, which I think it's fair to say is in tatters at this point, and they really feel this sense of emergency. But it's clear from the the president's approval rating has declined a little bit. A
little bit.
But it is not the case that it has plummeted. It is not the case that the floor has fallen out, because so much of America feels like he's doing what he promised.
Right track number, yeah. What the NBC and the CNN poll both had this weekend, Democrats either in the CNN poll 29%, NBC poll 27%. It's not really the springboard to jump off of, is it, Danielle?
Not really. And I mean, to speak to what Molly is saying, I mean, we're watching Republicans, Donald Trump really have command over the party. I mean, he was the sole reason that that government funding bill passed last week. He is truly holding on to all of the rank and file Republicans and has that power. We are not seeing that from Democratic leaders opposite of him. So it's really such a contrast that he's committed to what he's going to do, and then Democrats kind of fizzled out, not really sure what's next.
And Molly, to that point, Trump said, I'm for it. The Freedom Caucus said we're in line, and it passed.
That's right, and that's never happened before.
No.
So many of those, and I think that that is at the root of the miscalculation that the Democrats made, because they've seen this movie before, and every single time there's a CR, and it needs Democratic votes to pass because the Freedom Caucus members pride themselves on never voting to fund the government that they argue is bloated. Now, they have an excuse. They say, oh, we trust, that Elon's going to cut it back, et cetera, et cetera. But what really is happening is that Donald Trump is a powerful unifying figure, and he can whip up the Republican base, and what they hear from their constituents, particularly in these deep red districts where they only ever have to worry about winning a primary, is you need to be on board with the president. You need to be doing what the president tells you to do. And I would say, to the credit of House Speaker Mike Johnson, he's taken a fair amount of flack for his approach to things, but he realizes this and he has instrumentalized it. He realizes that the only thing that brings his fractious party together is
the
President
word from
Trump.
the president, right.
And so he has gotten Trump to help him bring the party together, and it has been successful.
And with that cohesion, for the moment, has come clout, real clout on Capitol Hill.
It's a page from the Nancy Pelosi playbook.
Exactly. Daniella Diaz, thank you very, very much.